What's good, G? What's good?
Oh, not fair too.
What's good? Welcome to my YouTube channel.
Woo!
What's good, G? How was your day?
It was good, Bresky. We just started our day, to be honest. Probably 4 hours of work, up at 4 a.m. Do a little bit of deep work, do a little bit of mind over matter, and then straight onto some calls and about to head to the gym, G. You know the routine.
Yeah, easy, G. I know who you are. I know your journey, but for the people out here, just tuning in for the first time, introduce yourself, bro. Like, what's your name? Where you from? Your background? Just break it down, bro, for the people so they can understand as well.
Got you, bro. Got you. My name is Nelson. I'm 21 years old from Brisbane, Australia. I grew up in Australia, but I'm from New Zealand. I'm also half Tongan. And growing up, all I pretty much knew was like a footy outside, kicking a footy. Nowadays, kids are getting forced outside. I remember growing up, I'd get forced to come inside. That was a little backstory about me, but heading into the real world, heading into, once I turned 18, I just went straight into working a warehouse job, and I did that for about a year and a bit. I just seen other people that are older than me in the same position at such a younger age. I realized that like I did not want to be that in 20 years' time. I did not want to be stuck inside a warehouse, number one, but working for another man, number two, building his dream. And number three, it's just like I didn't mind the work.
Mm.
It was literally just I knew I was made for a greater purpose. I knew I was made for more than just a warehouse job. And that's no
What do
defeat
you, do
to,
you mind if I just like pause you there? Where do you feel like that kind of like stemmed from or came from? Just like that feeling of, I know I'm destined for more. Just like that voice inside your head. Where do you feel like that kind of came from?
I feel like it just as a kid, I was always playing upper grades, like in footy. And I was always hanging around older people in general. And they would always tell me, like, you're gonna be destined for more. I remember one of my cousins telling me, like, no matter what you do, you're gonna be the greatest at what you do. And that just gave me belief within myself. And that is why I say your environment is everything. Because what if I had people telling me you're not going to be the greatest, you're not going to be the best? There's people better than you. Because I had it both sides. I had one of my cousins telling me you're going to be the greatest, and I'll do really good. Then I had my brother, my older brother, tell me that I'm shit, that you're the worst, you're not that good. But that was accountability. That was holding me accountable to not let my ego get too high, to not let myself get ahead of myself. And that always stood with me. It was like, no, you're not the best, you're not the good. I could get player of the match, I could get best player of the year. My brother would say that player was better than you. And now looking back, I realize how important that is. Because you can have both sides, you can have both sides of the world, but it's the way you take it. A lot of people can have the same lifestyle, but it's the way you take that lifestyle. It's the way you actually take information and whether you look at it as a positive or you look at it as a negative. And that's where I feel like my mindset's always just been pretty dialed ever since a young age, since sports, heading into, a real job, like a warehousing job, and then realizing like, no, I'm not destined for that, bro.
Mm. Okay, so just like having the people around you for accountability, the way that you took, I guess, kind of feedback in a sense, right? Mindset always has been kind of dialed in a sense, but when you talk about a warehousing job, bro, just like the type of person that you were, kind of before all this, bro, were you always like this well spoken? Did you always carry yourself in this way? Or what did that kind of look like, I guess, internally before you actually made the change?
Yeah, like initially I've always been an introvert person. Like
Mm,
I've always been a person at the back of the class, super quiet, just get the work done and just I let my actions do the talking. I was never a speaker. I would always just go onto the field, do whatever it takes, but I wouldn't be the one talking, 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 talking. But it wasn't until I would say I got into basketball where I started to become more of a leader. I started to be more captain on the team. But the way I would talk probably isn't as good as it is right now. But back then I could still have a lot of communication. I think communication in itself is probably the best skill that you can have. Because you can communicate, you can actually talk about what's going wrong, what's going on, and it's a lot of things that people actually can't talk about. because they don't know how to get out of their mouth. They don't know how to actually, it's processing through their brain, but it's not coming out of their mouth. Like that's something I used to struggle with. I used to just be like, it's there, it's just not coming out of my mouth. So I'd say communication in a warehouse made me go back to my introvert self where I wasn't able to communicate the way I wanted to communicate because there was people above you that would favorite other people, and it's just like there's no point in actually talking here because they have a higher leverage than me. They're above me in a sense. And that was my also switch to like don't want to work for another man type thing.
Mm. And I've noticed that firsthand, just like how powerful, especially communication skills are, through learning sales, because it ties into the way that you carry yourself. I remember like me and you, bro, before we started all this, right? Just a million filler words, didn't really like sound confident of the words that we were actually speaking, didn't have belief in what we were saying. Highlighting this is very important because you look at people who just, talk like this. I don't know what to, you just don't sound confident whatsoever. You know what I mean? And for you, since we've already seen like some progression, it's been a journey so far, bro. What did that look like in terms of your journey, I guess, here, man? Just making the change. Just kind of walk us through that, like, I guess, step by step, bro.
I think a lot of the conviction came from not the sales, not the building a personal brand, but it came from the personal development.
Mm,
Once I started to get conviction on, because we both been through that same journey of, being overweight, being
mm,
able to cut down that weight. Once you can see that within yourself, you have so much conviction in yourself. If you can apply that same work ethic, that same conviction to your business, to sales, to building a personal brand, there is nothing going to stop you but yourself. Your conviction within yourself to tell you, if I can lose 20 kgs within 5 to 6 months, what's telling me I can't make 100K a month within 6 months as well? Nothing. The only thing that's going to stop me is me. And the reason why I say this is because you set a standard for yourself that you thought you couldn't set that standard. When you start setting those standards and setting those standards, then you overcome those standards. Your old standard is like below your new standard. Like your new standard is up here now, and your old standards used to be here. But this used to be at the very beginning one of your standards. But when you start to overcome your standards, and you start building and building and building, I saw this thing the other day about people who step out of their comfort zone find comfort in the uncomfortable.
mm,
That was like one of the best things I've heard because it's so true. It's so true because waking up at 4 a.m. is now comfortable. Waking up in the cold is now comfortable. Whereas if you look back a year ago, you're like, no, I'm gonna just go back to sleep again. I'm gonna set another alarm. I'm gonna wake up with the next alarm, or I'm gonna do it later. I'm gonna do it later. Delay, delay, delay. When you realize taking action in every aspect of your life is going to apply for everything that you do in life, it's a compound effect.
mm.
Little wins always lead to a compound effect, which lead to a big win. You might not know it now, but God has a plan for you. That scripture I was going to say, but I forgot it.
I agree with everything you say, bro, especially like the standards that kind of stood out to me because you know how we focused on our personal development together. Running 5Ks, fuck that shit, bro. Run 10Ks. And then you just get used to it. And that saying of like getting comfortable with un or discomfort, getting comfortable with making uncomfortable decisions. I'd always say that's like probably the main key to success when it comes to growth. Success in kind of like any aspect in your life. Because for me, for example, I used to hate waking up at 4 a.m., but you do it enough times, you're like, you wake up at 5 a.m., you're like, oh my God, like this just does not feel right because you're so used to leaning into that discomfort. You know what
Mm.
I mean? And the main thing though that you kind of said to me, which was no one's going to stop you but yourself. This stood out to me for 100 million reasons because I remember I was that person in the past. I'd always hold myself back from doing things, getting shit done, procrastinating. For you, bro, I got a question I can kind of like lead into it. How long? How long ago did you come to this realization, bro? Like that you actually did want to make a change? If we were to go backwards a bit,
In terms of like business wise or personal development wise?
just business wise, bro. Like I guess the steps between you actually making a change, investing in yourself, to the first time you came to this realization, like I actually want to make a change in my life.
Well, I'll take you back when I was like 16, bro. I was working my first job
Yeah,
at a fish and chip shop. All my paycheck I would make, I'll probably make a solid 200, $300.
yeah.
Right? Every single dollar I would make, I would go into building an e-com store.
Mm,
I went into actually investing into an e-com course. At 16, right? That's a lot of money. Like, that's a lot of money for a kid that's making all that money and then, dropping all that into an ecom course. And the number one thing that I noticed was that it just lacked a community. It lacked guidance, really. Like it had all the information there, which was great, but the accountability was missing. It was like you just got given this course or these videos and you got given all these stuff. And I was like, maybe online money making isn't real. And
mm,
then when I was working my warehouse job, I was looking for more ways to make money. I realized that in order to start a business, in order to get good at ecom, you need high income skills to actually build that business successfully. And the foundation of those skills is either sales, selling the product, selling the service, and the next skill would be marketing the product. How are you actually gonna sell a product if you're not even putting it out there? Once I learned that I need those two skills to be successful, and then I learned that I probably need guidance, I probably need community. I was researching, okay, how can I find the best e-learning company that teaches sales, marketing with guidance and a community? I came across a couple of people who post content about that, reached out to them, jumped on a call, and it was pretty easy for me because I knew what I needed. I was going on to the call knowing exactly what I wanted, what exactly I needed. But I think that the shift that I needed was just like take action now or work away our show for the next 5 years. Because
mm,
I did have an objection. I did say like, what if I wait? What if I wait till next year when I have the money? And then I got hit with this question, bro. Is it the price or the cost? And I said, what does that mean? Pretty much, the price is what you pay today in order to get closer to your goals. And the cost is you not starting today and working a warehouse shop for the next 5 years. Once I realized that, bro, I was like, yeah, I'm not working a warehouse shop for the next 5 years. So I did whatever it took to actually get into the position that I am. Sold PS5s, I sold my car, sold my shoes just to get started, right? So I think it was the price of cost that made me realize like it's either now or you'll regret it later.
mm. Yeah. I used to live my life by that saying, bro. That's one thing that everyone kind of doesn't see. They never see the bigger picture because they're always so focused on what's in front of them right now, but you never actually end up looking about like down the line, what's going to happen if I don't do this? Not really operating out of a place of fear, instead operating out of a place of comfort. That's what
Mm.
most people do. For you though, obviously, you overcame that, you took action, right? But what did the journey look like? Because I remember, bro, when I first met you, you were full-time university student, full-time warehouse worker, playing basketball as well at the same time. Like, how did you kind of manage to juggle all three of those things at the same time?
When people tell me they don't have time, I think it's full of shit. I think everyone that says they don't have time just don't prioritize their time better. Because like you said, bro, I was working a warehouse job, which means I would start at 5 a.m., which would mean a 4 a.m. wake up. 5 a.m. to 1 p.m., I would work from Monday to Friday. From 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., from Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I would have university. From 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'll have basketball training. Tuesday, Thursday, I'll have basketball games. Saturday, Sunday, I'll have basketball games. So every single day, my calendar was full. Where could I possibly find the time to actually get something done? You have to sacrifice something. You
Mm,
have to be willing to sacrifice something in order to achieve something you've never had. How can you expect a different outcome but still do the same input? I realized if I have so much time, which we all have 24 hours in a day, and we can't change that, the only thing that we can change is what we do within the 24 hours. So I had to sacrifice something. I couldn't sacrifice leaving my job just yet because I needed income. I couldn't sacrifice dropping out of university yet because I was actually studying psychology, which is one of the foundation skills in sales.
Mm,
Understanding the brain, understanding why people say a certain thing, X, Y, Z. The next thing was basketball. I was a signed athlete, right? So I had three strong commitments. A lot of people might look at one and be like, oh, I don't got time. I had three strong commitments right there that I had to commit to. And then adding on top of trying to build a business at the same time, I believe because I had more things on my plate, it made me take action more. And because of that, I believe I was able to manage my time better. I was able to build out a calendar. I was able to be more attentive with my time. Because everyone says time is money, but it's actually attention is money. It's where you put your attention. It's where you're putting your time and putting your attention actually building the income or building the life that you want. You have to sacrifice so much. And during that journey, I don't think I spoke to one person, hung out, went for breakfast, went for dinner
mm,
for probably a straight 4 months. None of that stuff, sacrifice, family time, friends, friendships. I lost a hell of friends because of it. No
yeah.
one believed in it. And I believe I sacrificed a lot of sleep. You know what I mean? I wouldn't recommend it to anyone else looking back at it now, but I had so much drive that I would probably sleep 2 to 3 hours a day for 4 months straight just to get to where I am today.
Mm. It's the whole point of it, though. If it feels easy, everyone would be doing it. And also, there's this other saying that I used to live my life by as well. It's not many people realize that they're about 3, 4, 5, 6 months away from living the life that they've always wanted to live. But this ties back into what you're saying. It's people just seek instant gratification. Instant gratification in terms of, going out to the pub, going out with friends. Once again, this whole call just ties back into leaning back into comfort. And if we want to make a change with our life, would you agree that we have to lean into that discomfort because that's where people grow?
100%.
Exactly. Exactly. But that's the thing. Most people don't do that. Like even what you said before, you said no one believed in it. What do you mean by that, bro? Is that like were you talking about like your friends, your brothers, your parents? Like, what did you mean by that?
Everyone, bro. Like everyone thought I got scammed. Everyone thought it was bullshit just because I've never seen something like this before. And I said, describe a scam. Describe what bullshit is. Are you guys in the position I want to be in? Are you guys making 100K a month? Are
Mm,
you guys spending time with us, or was it only the 2 hours after work? You know what I mean? And then when I looked at it that way, I was like, should I be taking advice from someone who's not in the position I want to be? Should I be taking your opinion, even though your opinion doesn't match what you've actually just said? You know
mm,
what I mean? Because look, if you're a successful businessman and you're telling me this was a scam, I'll probably say, sure. But if you've never done anything in business, it wouldn't make any sense, right? And people looked at that like, oh, you got an ego now, you go, you're stuck up now. I'm like, the biggest thing for me, bro, is everyone said that I changed. I'm changed. And I'm like,
it's the whole point.
that's the whole point, no? Well, do you want me to stay the same for the rest of my life? Do you want to stay the same for the next 20, 30 years of your life? Because I know I don't. I know I need to change. So I don't see how making a change is a bad thing.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So I think it was that, bro. It's just like people were giving me advice, even though they weren't in the position I wanted to be in. And then people saying that I've changed, even though that's the whole point in life is to make a change.
I get that a lot, bro. I remember because I moved away from New Zealand like 6 months ago, bro, to get away from the environment, get away from people who weren't holding me back, people giving me advice who weren't in the position that I wanted to be in. Had to switch that environment. But I went over like a few months ago, exact same people, exact same lifestyle, still getting on the piss, just still doing all of those things that were keeping them there in the first place. That's why I left. Because what it is, bro, is they're trying to bring you back down to their cycle because they look at you trying to do something out of the norm. And it's literally just neglecting their insecurities out onto you. You know what I mean? So for
Facts.
you, when we talk about the change, you've adapted this new mindset, bro. What did the whole journey, I guess, with ABC actually look like, bro? That's like the real question.
Yeah, with ABC, bro, like honestly, having the mentors there, having the coaching calls. Before the coaching calls was like 6, 7, 8 p.m. The coaching calls used to be like 11 a.m., 12 p.m. So a lot of people would make sacrifices during work to just show up to those calls. I was one of those people, right? I'd have to show up on my breaks, right? Let's say you only get a 30-minute break. Would you want to be scrolling on TikTok, going on Instagram, or would you rather be on a coaching call, helping you learn a skill that you've never learned before? For me, I was like, this is my time. Like I said, time isn't money, attention is money. It's where you're putting your attention. So for my 30-minute and 20-minute breaks, I would be listening on the coaching calls, but also listening to recording calls. I think that was a big shift in like just putting more input. The more input I put in, the more output I'm going to get. And if I can know that everyone else in that room that I'm with is just scrolling on TikTok, whereas I'm on a coaching call, whereas I'm listening to coaching notes, whatever it is, that was a big shift for me. And then the biggest thing was my environment, like the
Mhm.
community of ABC was just so good. That is literally the reason why I'm in the position. Because so many times I wanted to give up, bro. You know what I mean? You can go on and on and on and on about wanting XYZ goal, but you're not getting the results. You know what I mean? There was times I wanted to quit because I wasn't getting the results. But
Yeah.
because I had a good community around me, bro, good people around me telling me don't give up, I persevered. There's always gonna be that moment where everyone wants to give up. That moment is either make or break because it's gonna get you through that wall, or you're just gonna go down just like everyone else. I remember one of the best quotes in ABC is no one fails in ABC, they give up. And once I understood that, I was like facts. Everyone that's given up, where are they now? You know, if you just keep going, you just keep putting the same input or more input in, you're going to get a better outcome. So I'd say community and just putting in more input and having a guidance, having a community there was like the biggest transformation for me, bro.
Mm. Not giving up is probably, you can use that with any example, bro. Like just going to the gym. You know what I mean? You keep the routine there. If you just keep going, you're not seeing results in like the first 2 days, the first 2 months. You're going to see results. You just have to keep showing up. Same with like basketball, bro. You know, you keep practicing how to shoot your free throws, your three pointers. You're eventually just gonna become like one of the top G shooters. It applies with every single thing that you talk about. But for you, what did that look like after you did keep taking those shots? After you did keep showing up? You know, you didn't give up. You didn't feed into anyone's bullshit. How long did it take for you to actually like replace your income, bro? What did that kind of look like?
Like, probably took me a good 4 to 5 months to actually replace my income, bro. So it wasn't an overnight success at all.
Yeah.
Um, I was door dashing to kind of keep at means as well because I quit my job 4 months in to go all in, and then I wasn't making any money, so I had to start door dashing, bro. And that
Mm.
was another thing, you know what I mean? And that just got me through the perseverance of like I'm at rock bottom right now. The only way is up. You know, the only way is up if I just keep building and building. The only way I'm gonna go is just keep going up. So it took me about 5 months to fully replace my income. And it was just a lot of trial and error. A
Yeah.
lot of just like, okay, this works, this doesn't work. Okay, I need to improve this side of things and probably stop doing that side of things. And then you're gonna come, there's gonna be days where it's gonna be like 12, 14-hour days on just trying to understand what works, what doesn't work. A lot of people don't want that. A lot of people want the goal, but aren't willing to put in the effort to get to their goal. Once I understood, it's like these days are gonna test the character that you want to become. One of the boys, Marcel, used to live with him for like 6, 12 months. He always said this thing about adapting a alter ego,
Yeah.
adapting a version of you that's already achieved everything that you want. And then you look at it that way and you ask yourself, what is the version of me that's making, 10K, 50K a month? What is that version of me doing? Are they waking up at 4 a.m. or are they sleeping in? Are they going to the gym or are they just staying home eating chips on the couch watching movies? When you look at these little habits, you can see one version is bettering himself in all aspects. The other version is just staying in comfortability. So once I realized that, I was like, what is the 100K a month version of me doing? Waking up at 4 a.m., going to the gym, eating good food, and spending time with their family. So in order to be able to do all of that, I need to adapt those same habits right now. A lot of people want to give back to their family. Start doing that stuff now, bro. Start doing their washing, start doing the dishes. Because when you start to actually do the big things, it's not going to feel out of the norm. It's going to feel normal to you because that person and your habits align with your goals.
Those bars, G. For you, that's something that changed my life as well, just building that alter ego. Because the way I look at it, bro, is every single thing you do in your life, you have two options. For example, you either choose to wake up and chase your dreams. You can either choose to find beauty in the struggle, or you can choose to find struggle in the unknown of the beauty. That you have to align with your higher self every single day. That's how we become that version of ourselves, right? For you, though, any advice to people out there, bro, like who are kind of just not there yet. They want to align with their alter ego. They want to become the best version of themselves, but they're just kind of like on the fence about it, bro. What would be your one piece of advice to the people out there?
Probably the biggest advice would be shoot now and aim later. That's probably one of the biggest thing that I took on very early was just shooting then aiming later. And what that pretty much means is like if you want to be in a certain position, you need to be willing to take more risks than anyone else. If you want to be that alter ego that you've just created, you need to be able to shoot then aim. When you're shooting a gun, right, you have to aim, shoot, fire. But when it comes to building that version or becoming that version, shoot first because the preparation to be able to aim and then shoot and then fire is too much of a long process. If you just shoot, then aim, okay, boom, okay, I want to go here now. Boom, I'm gonna go here now. You're adapting a habit of just taking action. Taking action has to be one of the best things you can do to create that version or becoming that person. The person that takes action is the person that lives the life that he wants. The person that delays his goals, delays action, is the person that lives in regret. You never want to be the person that lives in regret. Be the person that takes action. Trust me, everyone's going to follow you after you do that. You're going to be the leader. You're going to be the example when you just take action, even when you don't feel like it. Free from how you feel. Stick to a structure, stick to a routine, do the same shit that's going to get to where you want to be every single day. And who's going to stop you? The only person that's going to stop you is yourself. Have faith in God, build a relationship with God, and trust me, everything that you want will prosper.